Hey guys, it's your man Louis V, and we are headed to the Florida Orlando Record Show. 20,000 square feet. Started on Friday, today's Saturday. This is the only day I get. Runs till Sunday. It's early, it's about 7 in the morning, and we're headed there now to try to get in for the early admission. So let's go on this journey, buying journey together, guys. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Louis V here. I'm your host, and we're going to be talking about the Orlando Record Show, which was founded back in 1993 by two guys, Matt and Jeff. And I think they've been hosting this record show like every year. I know they do it, I think, now twice a year. This is a new to me show, but it's based down in Central Florida, right downtown in Orlando. And it ran from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, I only went on Saturday. I was working on Friday, had plans on Sunday, so I only had one day there. So I did do the early admission. It cost an extra $5. I think the normal admission is $5. The early bird admission's 10. So, you pay $5 more to get in there 2 hours before most other folks. What was interesting about doing that, though, is that I was entering the building just as the dealers were showing up, which meant that you had to almost wait for them to open before you could really browse. Now, some folks were already, they were quick. They were at their booths. They didn't have their stuff that they had to unbox, etc. And then some other people were still setting up. So that was interesting to me because normally when I go to a record show, even if there's early admission, the booths are set up, man. The dealers are ready to go. They're fired up. They're there to serve you, if you will. What made it a little bit challenging in this case is that I had to skip a lot of booths when I first entered and kind of then circle back. So I was doing like this rotation circle thing that really messed with the flow of, shopping for records. And if you've gone to a record show, you know what I mean. Like, you go in and you kind of scope out what you want to go tackle, like, okay, here's going to be my path. But then when you have to constantly go back and forth and stuff like that, it kind of ruins your flow. But I will say, it wasn't overly crowded. It was less crowded than I thought it was going to be, so it was easy to move around the floor, which I think made it simpler for me to navigate. I did pick up a stack of records that I want to share with you, show you some of my picks and my finds. But before I do, let me just end with this. I think the Orlando Record Show was a very fun event. All the dealers I talked to were super friendly, very conversational, very knowledgeable. I met one gentleman, Lenny, that just was a encyclopedia on psychedelic rock music. And I'm hoping that we get a chance that we exchange numbers, and I'm hoping that we get a chance to meet again. And then I met a group of younger folks that are just starting, getting into selling vinyl. They're great friends, great personality. Unfortunately, the name of their business escapes me right now, but I'll put it up on the screen so you can check them out. But they were super, super friendly folks. And they sold a lot of heavy metal records. It seems to be their thing. But great group of people there. And then also the Audacious Analog, who I'm gonna call out here in a moment. He's a DJ, a pro DJ instructor in LA, and he was just an awesome guy. Not only did he turn me on to some music, which I'll share with you here in a moment, but he um yeah, he was just a really cool person to chat with. So unlike a lot of other record shows where people are just like, "Hey, how are you? What can I help you find? What are you into? What do you listen for?" People genuinely here at this show were conversational. They talked about music. They made recommendations outside of music, places to go, places to hang out, other places to shop, things like that, that just made it feel a little bit more intimate than most record shows I've gone to in the past. So I think some of the logistics, operational stuff, I feel still, sorry, Matt and Jeff, I feel like could be improved. Like as if you're a shopper, it'd be nice if everybody was already, in their booths by the time you open the gate. That would have been nice. It was just also just crowded trying to get in because they're flooding in on one side and you're trying to go through the ticket booth on the other side. And the people, the dealers all got boxes and records and they're just taking up the entryway and you're trying to sneak and snake around them. If you watch, there's a video on the Orlando record show's Instagram that you can see people just coming in. And if you watch that video, you'll see what I mean. I'm actually in that video and you see me like this because I have no place to go because the family in front of me weren't really moving forward because I think they were looking how to get in front of the dealers. And then, of course, then there's a guy recording the video itself, and so we felt like pigeon in, like there was no place to go. Anyway, enough of that. You didn't come and click on this video to hear me rant and rave about the record show. You came here to see what the heck I picked up, and yeah, we're gonna do that now. So, the first couple records here. I don't know if you know who they are, but that's one of the reasons why you watch this video, right? This is New Guinea, and this record is New Guinea presents Nova Napolia, Nuva Napolia. I think I'm saying that right. I think I'm saying that right. I have no idea. And this record here is really a love letter to the 70s and 80s Neapolitan disco, funk, and boogie. It's very DJ friendly. It's sort of sun drenched in insanely listenable front to back. And it's one of the records I've been looking for a really long time and haven't been able to find in a while. Now, this is a reissue. It's a repress. It's not in Discogs yet. So I had to open it. It was sealed when I got it, but I opened it. And it looks like a recent reissue that just hasn't landed in Discogs yet. So I'm hoping it's not a boot. I'm hoping it's a legit record. It looks like a legit record with the etchings and everything. Just an undocumented pressing right now. So one of the records I'm super excited to give a listen to. But I've been searching for the records for a really long time. And this one, Bar Mediterraneo, um, is probably the one to get. This is warm analog grooves with Italio, disco, Afrobeat, and cosmic funk. And quite frankly, this is one record, man, it just feels modern and timeless, like a lost European club. All compiled into a record. And I don't know, man, this is a really replayable record. If you're not familiar, this is probably one I would go stream. I absolutely adore this album. Been looking for a really long time. And it sounds this record sounds amazing, although I haven't spun the vinyl. The album sounds amazing. I've been streaming it for a long time. So this is one that I'm super excited to get into the collection. Probably going to be one of the first records I spin, to be honest with you, because it's just that dang good. Um, okay. The next thing I got is still within sight of the same band, and I picked this up just because I felt like I sort of had to pick it up, if you know what I mean. And this is Scalia, uh, and it's a 7-inch single. So I figured I was already getting into 2 LPs, I might as well get the single. I think, I know I'm familiar with the song in here and, it's very short, infectious. This is kinda like one of those things that's just perfect for DJ sets, and I think it's cool, man, because I don't really pick up a lot of singles, but when I saw this and was kinda on the same shelf as all the rest of the full-length LPs, I felt like I had to do it, I just had to grab it, so, uh, nice addition to the 7-inch collection. Okay, next up is by the band named Yellow. You remember Yellow from the 80s? This is Baby. And this is really a hyper produced electronic pop with insane stereo imaging, guys. I mean, if you haven't listened to Yellow, you have a hi-fi system, you definitely want to give this. This is a great record to just demo a high-end hi-fi system, especially if you have good low-end control. Now, this is classic Yellow. It's very quirky, polished, and very intentional. It's got amazing sound design. I mean, honestly, you really can't go wrong with almost any Yellow album. And I've been sort of rediscovering this band, and I say rediscovering because they were they made a bunch of records in the 80s, and I knew the songs, but I never connected the band name, or maybe I just forgot about them. And recently, over the last couple months, there's been comments from my viewers about Yellow, and then Shane came over from an Aussie audiophile and was playing some Yellow. So now I've been on this hit of like just diving deep into their catalog, looking for their records, seeing if I can add them to my collection. I was on a long flight to San Jose recently, and I downloaded like every album they ever did, and I just kind of went through the almost the entire catalog when I was on that trip. And I got to tell you, man, now all I am is just hungry to pick up all their records. So really cool band. I think a lot of us forgot about, and so well recorded and mastered that it's a treat for the ears. Okay, this next one is a band that my new buddy, I'll call him the Audacious Analog. He has a Instagram. I will share in the description of this video. He's the guy who's the professional DJ instructor in LA. He turned me onto this band called Core Tex. This is a French band. And from what he told me, this is one of the most sampled French jazz fusion records ever. And I believe he said this is like, kind of like this dreamy roads, loose, grooves and this deep late night vibes on this record. And the sound here is supposed to be like delicate and funky all at the same time. What's wild is that I think I know this record, but I just never made a connection. Kind of like Yellow. This album cover is deeply familiar to me, and yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to give this a spin because I feel like I'm gonna know this. This was also sealed. I broke a lot of these sealed records open so I could see what pressings they were, and I was a little bit worried because some of these they just look like they might have been boots, but I haven't got any. None of them were boots, so I was very lucky on that. But you just don't know. You don't know what you're buying anymore when there's no barcode. See, there's no barcode back here, right? And that's usually a sign to me that it could be a potential boot, but these are all legit pressings, so happy for that. I also picked up the other Cortex album I felt When in Rome, right? So this is Alain Mion, Alan Gandolfi, and again, I can't really speak all to the details of this record because it's new to me, but from what I understand in conversation, is that this is a little bit more experimental than the other album. I think this is more fusion leaning. Uh, and from what I gather from that discussion, I think this is really going to be a great insight on just how deep Cortex's album or catalog can get. So excited to give these two a spin, try to, discover new music. A lot of times I grab these records hoping they're going to be rewarding listen. When I go to shows or when I go to record stores, I always talk to the folks because I want to know what they recommend or what excites them. And to me, a lot of times I'll walk away, as long as within a reasonable price, I'll walk away with whatever record they're proposing to me to pick up, because if they're that passionate about it and they're surrounded by music all the time and they're that passionate about that album, then I want to discover that music too, because who knows, maybe I'll become super passionate about it as well. And I got to tell you, some records that I have now that I spin, they're on heavy rotation, if you will, are records that these guys have recommended to me. So, I don't know. It's a way to discover new music. If you're not just endlessly trying to find new music on streaming and you want to find it the old-fashioned way by going to a record store, going to a record show, and talking to people about music, that's what we used to do. That's what I guess I still do. It's funny because I get mocked sometimes about, like, you're just buying records you know nothing about. Well, yeah, that's what we used to do. Like, that's how we found new stuff. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. Anyway, onwards. The next record I picked up is from Talk Talk. This is The Color of Spring. Um, Sorry, the kind of inner sleeves there. Original inner sleeve. I guess I would just show that. It's the original inner sleeve. OIS, as we say on the cogs. And I think that record there is sort of a bridge between the pop Talk Talk and their experimental era. There's a massive sense of space and dynamics on that records, and it's one of those records that I think really rewards intimate listening. Okay, next up is Bebop Deluxe, and this is actually a reissue. It's not the original. I do have an original. It's in VG Plus condition, but this is a near mint reissue, despite the record's near mint, despite some of the ring wear on the actual sleeve itself. But this is a sunburst finish, very, very, I want to say it's not really collectible, but it's a popular record. It's a little bit underrated, and it's British art rock. Serious guitar work on here too, and it's got some slick production without sort of losing personality. I think it's a great example of late '70s transition rock. So I think it's a cool record if you're into that kind of like '70s rock era and you want something that's a little bit refreshing and you're not familiar with that record. Good one to go pick up. The next two are both Vertigo Swirl UK first presses. Super happy to pick these up, by the way. I almost had a third one, but then when I checked the runs, it was listed as OG press. But when I looked up the runs, because I asked, it was an expensive record, and I said, "Hey, can I check the runs?" It was actually a second press of the first press. It was like the second run, and I didn't want that. I really wanted I didn't want a reissue. I wanted the real deal. If I'm gonna spend the money, I want the UK first press. There was also, I got to tell you, there was a lot of Vertigo spaceships at the record show. So if you're collecting the spaceships, you could have probably walked away. God, I mean, I personally saw easily 20 to 30 albums that were spaceships that were good condition. I checked a lot of the conditions because I was debating about it, but then I'm like, no, Vertigo Swirls right now are they're trying to complete that collection is expensive. It's a focused task. Maybe once I'm done that, I'll look at spaceships and stuff like that. But besides, I already spent a ton of money at the show, and I didn't want to keep rabbit holing down new things. But this is Gentle Giant Octopus. If you're not familiar, this is a very dense, complex prog that's, somehow still fills the grooves. Um, and, every track here just feels like a mini composition. Uh, a really cool record, really, 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 really cool record. And this is not a like some of the other ones we talked about. This is not a casual listening, but I think once you drop the needle on that and you crank up the volume a little bit, it's going to be incredibly rewarding for you. The next up is Juicy Lucy. If you remember when I was in London, I picked up my first UK. What was it, London? I can't remember now. But my first UK swirl was, yeah, I think it was London. Was the other Juicy Lucy album, and I think there's only two on the Vertigo swirl. So now I got both Juicy Lucy. So it kind of just checks that off the box now. At least that band is done. But this is very heavy British, blues rock. Uh, Kind of really represents that early Vertigo energy, gritty, raw, unapologetic. I mean, I really feel like Juicy Lucy's a little bit of a sleeper for fans of rock. But hey, maybe if you're really into early hard rock, maybe they're one of your favorite bands. I don't know. Uh, Next one up is Nuggets. This is volume 3. Came with the OIS as well, the original inner sleeve. Um, I have volume 1, I have volume 2, I didn't have volume 3, so this to me was an immediate grab. It's in pristine condition. Uh, so couldn't really go wrong with that. And if you're not familiar with this, it's like psychedelic pop and garage, kind of like garage gems just from the underground put into a record. And it's sort of like a perfect sampler record with just nonstop variety. Really kind of, it gives you a great historic snapshot of 60s experimentation music. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just a good comp. It just really is just a good comp. So, super happy to grab that one because there's only volume 1, 2, and 3 that I'm aware of. If there's more volumes of Nuggets, somebody let me know in the comments below. Now, the next one up is a soundtrack. I usually don't collect soundtracks, not usually my thing. But this one's interesting because Shane picked this up on Record Store Day. It was in a used bin at Phil's Music Exchange in Wilson, North Carolina, and he picked it up, and it sounded amazing. And Randy Crawford's cover of "Knocking on Heaven's Door" is just sublime. And the record I'm talking about is Lethal Weapon 2. This is the soundtrack. This is cut from master tapes, all analog, and it is a great sounding record. And to steal from Shane, to give you some example, you have some legit songs on here, but then you also just have the musical score. And that musical score is really, Eric Clapton and David Sanborn trying to outdo each other. And I think, quite frankly, this record, this soundtrack, is really like that peak late 80s soundtrack energy. Is probably one of the last great soundtracks that came out in the 80s, in my opinion. And that was a gold stamp promo, which I think is just really cool, piece to have. So, yeah. Okay. Next one up is a record that I really hemmed and hawed about. I went back and forth, and then I bought a couple records from the guy, and he cut me a deal. And then the deal was just too good to be true. I was going to walk away with this from this record twice. I handed it back to him. He gave it back to me because I was asking more questions. I handed it back, and then he said, "How about I do this?" And I took another look at it, and we settled up on it because I usually don't buy these type of records, but this one's really rare, and it's from a band that I love. And it is a boot, which is why I don't usually buy them. But this is Led Zeppelin live at the Lyceum in London. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I hope I am. And this is a LP um, 2 LP concert. Yeah, 2 LP concert. Recorded now. I don't know anything about this record. I haven't spun it yet, but I did read up on it. And from the gathering of the comments, it's supposed to be very raw. It's unpolished Zeppelin, and it's not an audiophile record by any means, but it is supposed to have a lot of historic energy. And people say it actually sounds pretty good for what it is. So yeah, this was just more for excuse me, this was just more for having something that, quite frankly, I think is a little bit rare. You can argue it's historic. That's up to you. But yeah, I'm happy to get my hands on that, and looking forward to giving it a spin because I just don't know what to expect from it. Now, these next 3 records, they're hip hop. They're records that, quite frankly, I've been looking for a while, and I haven't found good copies of them. For me, good copies of them, because a lot of times the hip hop records, they're kind of destroyed. They're not really well taken care of because they're used for like DJing and parties, or they're just played. They're party records. The first one up is a record. It's a great example of why sometimes how people grade sleeves it just makes you laugh because it's not VG plus with a quarter cut. A couple, I don't know. You'll tell me what you think, but to me this is not a VG plus cover. But I did buy it because the vinyl is a very solid VG plus, arguably on near mint. Um, but it's Will Smith, and this is Big Willie Smile. And I know we all hate Will Smith now because of the slap heard around the world, which it just I don't know, it's just stupid to me to be if I could just be bold to say. We all abandon Will Smith, who's arguably talented guy, right? He's writ a lot of hit songs, especially, in the '90s, movie soundtrack songs and stuff like that that we all know and love. Um, and he's a good actor. He's done a lot of great acting work, and we all throw him out. We cancel him because he got up on stage and slapped a dude who made fun of his wife and her medical condition in front of a crowd full of people. I mean, I've asked the question a few times. I'm like, if some dude mocked your wife in front of others in a very insulting way, even though they might have been trying to be funny or not, how would you react? Um, I don't know. I mean, we forget sometimes that Will Smith was a rapper, and he was we are okay with our other rappers, strapping and drugging and all that other stuff. We're okay with people like Miles Davis beating up their wives for generations and generations. We're okay with that. But for somehow or another, we cancel Will Smith. I don't know. Anyway, back to the album. Will Smith, Big Willie style. Great record from the late '90s. Just pure pop rap nostalgia on that one. Surprisingly fun album overall. It's not a deep album, but it is a one that I think is endlessly entertaining. And also picked up Will Smith, Willennium. Just peaked 2000s energy and pure album, form. Big hooks, glossy production, and sort of a cultural time capsule, if I can say. I think this has a lot of cool things on it. Wild Wild West is probably the biggest song on this record, but picked it up sealed. And this record sells for a lot of money, in just even near mint condition. So I was actually pretty pleased with this score because I've seen this record sell for like three, even sometimes $400, I think. Maybe it's two and $300, but I've seen this record sell for a lot of money, and the fact that it's sealed, to me, it was an instant buy. Just you're not gonna hopefully find a better copy. I just hope I cracked the seal and there's nothing. I've done it before where it's like, mold or something on a record, or it's warped or it's defected, and you spend a lot of money on these sealed records just to get disappointed. That's why a lot of times I prefer to buy near mint records over sealed, but that's a story for a different day. Okay, here's the last record that I picked up. Again, just pure nostalgia for me. Haven't really found a good copy of this one. I think, frankly, this is the first copy I found in a while that I can actually say I would put on my turntable, and that's MC Hammer. Please Don't Hurt Me. Man, one of the biggest rap albums of all time. This is a, I think this is a really record that has that has a history of being an important moment when hip hop really went fully mainstream. I mean, you had on there, of course, "Here Comes," not you can't you can't touch this. You Can't Touch This was on all of the radio back then. And then Have You Seen Her also made some good radio play. I think that one's a little bit underrated. That's a really nice, kind of slow paced song. Um, I don't know. I think we forgot about how good this record really is. Um, so yeah, I'm super excited to get this because I've been looking for a good copy to add to the collection for a long time. I kind of grew up with this album, being on the radio and stuff all the time, and this is one that I just wanted to get added to the collection for my own sake. Right? We all collect things that bring our own memories to ourselves. So guys, that's it. That's what I picked up. There was a lot of great OG pressings. There was a lot of great rare records there. A lot of things that I could have spent a ton of money on. I didn't because I kind of went into the show with a budget and a fixed thing that I was trying to get things off my want list. So even if I would have found something that I thought was really interesting, I was trying to get things off my want list. And then I still kind of went a little bit off script, right? I got the Cortex records, I got that live Led Zeppelin album. So there were two things that weren't on my want list. So I already kind of went off a little bit script there. But I will say one of the things that seems to continue to bother me at these types of shows and going to some of the record stores is people pricing at the very top of the Discogs history for pricing. I've noticed several vendors there that every record I pulled out was the very top price that's ever sold in Discogs. I even gut checked because I'm like, man, that's really expensive for this record. Let me check the cogs here. And looking at, just looking at three different random records I would pull from a vendor and seeing that every one is not what it's listed for. There was one record that sold for like $833. It was listed for 850 at the show, and the current one, there was one, I think it was a near main copy on Discogs active, was like 520. The reason why there was an 800 and some dollar one is because I think it was signed or something like that. And so the person didn't even look to see why it sold for $800. They just marked it for 850 because they were just, went to Discogs. Oh, that's the maximum price. I'm going to mark mine for 850 because then if I take some money off, I'm still landing at $830 or whatever, right? Um, so yeah, so it takes away from being able to negotiate. So you just skip those records because even if you negotiate with them, you're still overpaying for the album. I wish that trend would stop. I'm getting really sick of it. It's really starting to make me shift more towards buying online through trusted people that have high scores versus going to shows and record stores, which I really hate. It's becoming harder and harder to shop in person because of the continuous price gouging. And Discogs brings a lot of great things to a collector, but man, it also brings a lot of bad things from people who are just out there to make money selling records and not really record collectors themselves. So that's it. That's all I got for you. Leave me your comments. How did I do on my pickups and scores? Did you go to the Orlando, or have you ever gone to the Orlando Record Show? Let me know. And tell me what you think about some of the pricing you're seeing at your local shows and record stores. While you do that, I'll see you on the next video.